Hey Kingdom, welcome to Dragon Age Veilguard, and today I will show you my insane build for extremely powerful Fire Mage. This build can unleash insane amounts of damage and get insanely powerful triple fireball combinations that completely designates your enemies, but at the same time build is pretty unique, because we're not using specializations, so Spellblade, Evoker, Other Scholar is not our priority. Still, we will be able to unleash insane amounts of damage even from the earliest stages of the game. And I will show and explain everything. From the skill tree in different parts of the game, to weapon build, and also companion builds, to make this crazy build work. Without further ado, let's start with our build. So here is the tree for starting the build, and actually the build is basically ready at this point, and that's around level 10 in the game. That's why this build is extremely powerful, because we're not going for any like the Scholar or Evoker Specialization, since they will be locked behind level 20 anyway, and we will get a lot of like insane overpowered damage over here. So first of all, we need to get to the bottom left part of the tree to sustain zone, basically. And I like to move aggressively with this build, move a lot, and to do a lot of quick attacks. So that's why I pick Fate Strike, so I can double press on my wait button and then use my quick or hard like charge attack. But if you like to use range attack a lot, then you can get a mortal concentration definitely for more powerful range attack. It doesn't matter which path you choose right now. And then we get in jump attacks guarantee critical hits if target is knocked down. That's just little subtle and nice move to keep in your arsenal. And then we get in Wall of Fire, so it's duration control spell, and we will be able to summon Flaming Barrier. This barrier is actually pretty useless in most cases, since enemies move really fast and it's hard to actually hit with it. So it's like nice spell to have, because it don't have any mana cost. You can spam it every 60 seconds, but it's pretty useless. And then we get in stagger from weapon attacks plus 20%. So that's what we will be focusing on with this build. We want to build as much stagger as possible. That's one of the main stats for us. Keep this in mind, because when we get into the weapon part of this guide, you will understand everything and how everything aligns. And then we get in a return fire. You can use light or heavy attack after perfect defense, and honestly, that's nice timing stuff that you can use. You can learn how to use it, but I like to roll, and that's just transitional note to the next part. And we want to get to the fireball spell as soon as possible. That's why we get an advantage duration plus 20%, which will increase duration of beneficial status effects, so like pretty nice stuff. And finally we get into our bread and butter, inner focus. Successful light attacks generate additional 25 mana, and it will be doubled against enemies suffering from affliction. Affliction is effect that deals damage over time, so basically any type of damage over time effects will work, and we will use burning effect, of course. Then we take in wildfire for more fire damage, and finally get in our fireball spell. So fireball will be main spell for this build. It's area blast. It costs 2 mana, so this is a high cost spell, but we can spam it as much as we wish. You will see it in a second. And it will detonate Sundered, but this build will be played without any detonations. We don't need detonations when we detonate enemies instantly with our fireball spell. But coolest part, Meteor will apply burning effect, which is affliction that will deal fire damage over time to enemies. And that's why we're going to the top left instantly, getting plus 10% affliction damage, and also this note: deal 20% more bonus stagger to enemies with affliction. So now we will inflict like crazy amount of stagger even from the early game, and every enemy will fall prone. That's why we will make loads of takedowns at this point of the game. So performing a takedown grants 250 health and 20 ultimate. This way we can generate a lot of ultimate power and quickly gain ultimate in a fight and spam with our 4k damage fire, like insane array of destruction that will also apply burning. Technically build is ready, and you can get it as fast as level 10, but here's few notes that you can take in this part of the tree. First of all, of course, we can get this resistant blasts that will give you resistance when you defeating enemies with blast abilities. And it will increase resistance to all damage types, but at the same time it will increase your damage, more on that later. And also you can pick this arcane bomb damage plus 15% with upgrade blast abilities. It will apply 15% of your current mana as bonus damage for blast abilities. So that's a nice subtle buff actually, and that's a questionable note that you can totally actually like refund if you don't have spare points right now or you want to go to the next part of the tree instantly. So that's not like a big deal for the build, and just keep in mind this part for later stages of the build. Another note that you can keep in mind here is penetration, especially if you're playing on harder difficulties when enemies is more armored and more protective. So definitely pick this up. But that's where we definitely end this part of the build. And that's again depending on how much wolf status you unlock, will be around level 15 or even 10. And I want to transition into items. Since all items in this build is pretty basic. Yeah, you can see legendary item right now, but it's actually pretty easy to get, especially early. If you don't know how to get legendary items in Dragon Age Veilguard, it's pretty easy. You just need to open chests and find duplicates, because instantly when you find this stuff, it will be called Scorched Stuff. And it will have 0 bonuses basically. But when you find second Scorched Stuff, it will have uncommon rarity and will have only 1 bonus like this armor right now. But when you find multiple duplicates, you can upgrade it and get all bonuses up to legendary. All items you see on me right now is found from the main story and also from the traders I met along the way. But I noticed that easiest way to get what you need is to actually look for these items in respected regions. So you will see faction banner on the item, and this means it's probably high chance to find this item in territory of this faction. For example, this Grey Wardens faction will probably have this item on sale, so you can definitely buy 1 piece of it when you level up the shop, or even almost from the start of the shop when you just meet shopkeeper. So all you need to do is to just advance through main story and you will probably find most of this item. And also you can find duplicates on exploration randomly from the chest. So that's the items we are looking for. And the build will start to make sense. Okay, weapon, Scorch Stuff. This stuff will have fire damage, and that's important. You want stuff with fire damage and a really high stagger. When you upgrade this stuff, you will gain, first of all, fire resistance, 25%, then 15% fire damage, which is great power spike when you will have a really nice and high damage. Then you will have nice bonus, especially for harder difficulties when you need to heal sometime a little bit more. You will heal 100 on kills with this weapon. But the biggest power spike will be legendary upgrade, when your fire resistance will contribute to your fire damage bonus, and that's insanely overpowered stuff because it instantly adds 25% fire resistance from this stuff to fire damage, and that's just completely disgusting. Another option for this build will be Flame Branch. So Flame Branch is a nice stuff too. It got nice damage but low stagger, but nice bonuses. It's got 15% mana generation, hit and burning target will give you more mana, so you will generate mana a lot easier, and also it will increase your maximum mana at third upgrade, right now at epic upgrade, which will increase your damage based on our build right now, and at legendary tier it will deal 25% bonus fire ability damage for every 50 mana spent, and basically it's 50% bonus fire damage to our fireball. It's actually insanely powerful stuff, so you can keep one or like second version depending on which one you like or upgrade it faster. With this build I really recommend using stuff, but if you like sword and orb style, you can definitely use it too. For orb, use Ortmeel's Ash, and it will deal nice stagger, nice fire damage, increased burning duration. Burning enemies will deal less damage for the duration, which is nice for your survivability, more burning stacks, and more burning damage per stack, so that's nice burning orb. For your sword, if you use an orb and sword, then definitely go for Twist of Wheel It's will Jumper's Mage Knife, and it will deal more damage versus armor, more charged attack damage, and you get some buffed charge attack too, with more stagger of course, and that's pretty nice like dagger. For final enchantments, you need to have 15% damage at high health for your main weapon, for your staff or your orb, but before you unlock, because it's pretty like late game-ish stuff, you can have plus 15% charged attack damage. While definitely you want to have 25% arcane bob trigger damage on your dagger. Now let's get to our armor, and that's where it becomes completely broken. So, first of all, insightful covering, uncommon light helmet with very nice ability damage, while at the same time it will have bonus charged attack damage. Yeah, we will use charged attack a lot with this build, but coolest part will happen when we upgrade this helmet, because we will have more stagger dealt by charged attacks, and we will have more ultimate, plus 5% ultimate on hit with charged attacks. And last upgrade will give us ability to never be interrupted with charged attacks, and that's the helmet we definitely want to upgrade. And it will become insanely overpowered in our hands, since we can deal charge attacks as much as we wish. And then armor. Armor will be Orchestrator's Long Coat. So that's light armor, so we get light armor set, and that's a pretty nice armor actually. It will have bonus damage versus health, and that's insanely nice buff, since you will break barrier or armor like very fast, and then enemies will have health. And having 15% flat damage versus health is like very good stuff. Then we will have more light attack damage, and we can charge light attack, so it will be charged to light attack. And basically that's it. You don't even need to upgrade it more. You can have it as uncommon armor and it will be fine. For enchantments, you want to have fire resistance on your helmet, especially if you're using Scorch Staff, because it converts your resistance to fire damage. But also you want to have ultimate generation on your armor. And if you're using different stuff, then you want to have just flat defense instead of your fire resistance on this helmet. So it can be percentage defense, it can be a flat defense, but that's only if you're using different stuff than Scorch Staff, which I really recommend you to use. And then we will wrap all this stuff up by picking the right combination of rings and belts. So belt is really important. It's Warden's Straps, and you won't have a lot of healing from this belt, but when you use this stuff, it will apply burning to nearby enemies, and also it will increase your fire damage, and that's basically what we want. We want to have more fire damage, and this belt gives us this bonus. For Amulet, we're going with Miner's Talisman. It will increase your area ability damage, and then will give you more area ability bonuses. Our Fireball is area ability, of course, and enchantment for our Amulet will be +1 max burning stack. For first ring slot, we want to have Unburnable Band. It's uncommon ring, and you will have more burning damage, but you definitely want to upgrade it even higher for more damage versus burning enemies. Plus 25% burning duration and +1 maximum burning stacks. That's a great ring for us, since we will apply a lot of burning anyway, and it will greatly amplify our damage. And last but not least, Warden's Signet. So that's just insane ring. It will give you fire damage, then it will give you fire resistance that will be translated into fire damage via our stuff, more fire ability damage against armor, and 50% of all of your other damage type bonuses contribute to your fire damage bonus. So that's nice like subtle touch for your final build, since we will have different skills that is not contributing to our fire damage, of course, but that will work on our fire damage anyway. For enchantments, I'm using area ability damage, plus 25% on one ring, and plus ability damage on second ring. So we're basically having plus 50% damage to our ability right now. Last but not least is our runes. Right now I'm using Scorch, which gives plus 10% fire damage, Stagger that gives plus 10% stagger, and I'm using flat 10% health. If you wish to have more damage, you actually can have +5 to all resistances, since it will add +5% to your fire damage, but that's not a lot, and I just like to have a little bit more health. You can definitely swap it for any other offensive runes. I don't have a lot of runes on this character right now, as you can see, but this fire damage is more than enough. Now you probably see how this all lines up into crazy amount of fire damage, and funniest part, all of the good and crazy bonuses is actually almost from the first rarities of every item. So you don't need to upgrade a lot of these items, and this build works basically from level 10, that's the craziest part. But to make it completely like insanely overpowered, we need right companions, and for this I will be cheesing using just crazy companion combination. So it will be Belara, and actually it can be any other mage, it can be Emric or Neve, but I like to use Neve. And for companions we need 2 abilities. We don't need third ability, so we're not doing any detonators actually, and we will use just 2 abilities. It will be Time Slow and Replenish. For Replenish, you can use it from time to time by your hands, but that's how you level up Replenish on both targets, basically on both companions. You want to make a straight line, and that's it basically. With straight line on Replenish you will have less duration, cooldown duration, less cooldown basically. And most importantly, you will have this auto replenish. When you have low health, replenish automatically triggers if it's not on cooldown. And you basically don't want to ever use replenish, it will be automatically used every time, and you will be fully healed when you are in danger. When replenish will be used, you will gain 20% of your ultimate. And also you will gain immovable, you will be immune to physical reactions and interruptions. Other bonuses doesn't matter, you can pick like whatever you like, just increase power of replenish, or on activation gain invulnerable, have more healing bonus, whatever, it doesn't matter. What does matter is how you level your time slow on both companions, it will be a little bit different. So, time slow on Belara. Gaining time slow. While this effect is active, you deal 25% more damage. So our damage is insanely high already, and when time slow is activated, we will gain even more damage on top. That's crazy how powerful we are at time stop effect. But then we will have this effect when time slow ends, we will gain 50 mana. So completely free mana just from the air. Then we're going into straight line and getting time slow. That gives us ability to use our ability without mana cost. And that's how basically the stuff works. And that's basically how this stuff works. So we start fight with Fireball, dealing insane amount of damage while dropping a lot of burning stacks on our targets. Then we're slowing down time with Belara and gaining completely free cast of our Fireball with additional damage. And when this effect ends, we will probably get at least 1 point of mana already with our attacks, charge attacks, dealing increased damage against burning targets. And then we cast 1 more Fireball to completely deplete any enemy that is left. Back to Belara. Of course, we get in cooldown duration minus 20%, and you can have time slow. Companions can use abilities during time slow, and also when effect ends you gain precision. That's just useful rune. Now let's get to the Neve and why I'm using her. For Neve we get in again 25% more damage in time slow, and also more mana after time slow ends, and also time slow will give us abilities without mana cost, and cooldown duration minus 20%. And also when the effect ends, we will gain Quickened, ability cooldowns refresh more quickly, and abilities slowing effect intensified. Basically, Quickened will give us a nice cooldown reduction, and we will be able to spam more and more fireballs. And basically, we will spam fireballs like crazy. But it's time to get back to our tree. So, at this point of the game, we're basically using our quick attack, charge attack button, and spamming fireballs, but we can get one more devastating option in our arsenal. And now you need to choose the way where you will go first. There's 2 ways you can go. You can go to the bottom right into Chain Lightning, or you can go to the top into the Frost Nova part. It will depend on your first pick, so it will be Fate Strike. If it's Fate Strike, then you will go into Chain Lightning. But if you like to use range attack on your enemies, R2 on PlayStation, then you will go into the Cold Frost Nova part. It doesn't matter because we will get both of these parts later in the game, but right now we want to finally get into our specialization, and it will be Evoker, because it's not useless and will amplify our damage even more. So let's go through here. and I will show you this cold part later. So, first of all, we're going to get in mana recovery. It will start to regenerate a little bit faster, it doesn't matter, and we pick in Chain Lightning. So, why do we pick Chain Lightning while we have only 3 skills? Our skills is Arcane Shot, which is projectile blast fire damage, and we will never use it, probably, like, never ever. Wall of Fire, again, we will never use it, maybe just off cooldown for fun from time to time, because it got only cooldown, no mana cost. And we will use only Meteor as our main spellcasting like ability, that's it. And also our ultimate, of course, it's just completely obliterates enemies. So the thing is, in this game, whenever you pick any ability, there's a secret part over here. You will gain ability damage plus 15%. So this means basically by picking this ability, you instantly gain in plus 15% bonus damage to your fireball. From here, you want to pick charge attack damage plus 10% and maximum mana plus 50. Then we get in ourselves to the top. First of all, we get in abilities gaining 15% bonus damage based on the damage type of your staff or orb. This means if our staff doing fire damage, we will gain plus 15% fire damage to our abilities, of course. Then we get in more mana regeneration over here, and we get in this insane buff that will set up us for the next part of the game. While wearing light helmet and armor, and we got light armor set basically right now, we get in more charge rate of our staff and more staff energy attack range. So what does it mean? Basically, it affects how much power and how much range will have your triangle heavy attack with your staff. And right now, as you can see, it's this far. But also never forget you can charge it up, and when it's charged up, it will do even more damage with even more radius. So that's how it looks like. And that's our next part of our build. We will increase not only our charged attack, our light attack, but also our heavy staff energy attack. And then we need to slowly get into Evoker Specialization, and basically we get an input takedowns. We will do a lot of takedowns because we get nice stagger, but right now we will have also shocking weapons that will deal more stagger. So after first takedown, you will be able to take down more easily other targets. Then get light attack damage versus health plus 10% and get one more skill. Control projectile with cooldown. So this projectile will apply shield on impact, and it have only cooldown. And since we're never using Arcane Shot anyway, I really recommend you to pick this instead of Arcane Shot. So you will have some cold spell right now with cooldown that you can spam as much as you wish, basically every 60 seconds. And then we get in this fire and cold resistance, and don't forget, fire resistance with our build will give us fire damage at the same time. But only if you feel that you need this ability. Actually, right now, even before going into Evoker category, you want to drop down and get this Prism of Resistance first. You will gain 10% resistance to the damage type of each mapped ability. And that's why basically I got all mapped abilities with fire damage type, which gives me 30% fire resistance. But with my stuff, it's also fire damage, and that's the craziest part of this crazy build. Then of course we get in Bolt Volley that will greatly increase our damage, and basically when we spam quick light attack button, we will have additional bolts for even more fire damage. And that's how our tree looks at around level like 20 plus or so, and we're definitely ready for our Evoker Specialization. We're not rushing with this build into Evoker, and we won't use our Evoker Ultimate either. While it looks cool and actually can be nice setup for your ability, you know, this ultimate will pull enemies together and it's nice setup for a fireball. Actually, you won't use it too much, and it's better to have insanely overpowered fire ray. Same goes for Entropic Sphere. It will apply weakened, it will pull enemies together, but come on. I got insanely overpowered fireball, and yeah, you can use it, it will lower your fire damage a little bit, but feel free to experiment and have fun. Don't forget, we got basically fireball, and that's the only skill we will use for this build. So you can have fun and like use different skills, don't worry too much. Build is already like super overpowered. And from here to the top, if you go, you will get cold damage. That's what we don't need. That's why we're going to the bottom right. Heavy attack damage, and heavy attacks is our triangle, staff attacks. So that's what I was talking about. You will have nice and pretty powerful stuff right now that can be used in your combination. So you drop in fireball, you drop in some stuff like pushing heavy attacks. Then you're slowing down time, more fireballs, more stuff, more quick attacks, and all of this stuff doing like insane amount of damage in like lowest amount of time. From here, you can take control abilities, controlled infusion. When you use control abilities, you will generate staff energy. What is control ability? Right now for us, it's Wall of Fire. So now it makes sense just to spam it to generate some staff energy from time to time. When you hit level 30, you can get this Knight of Staffs, and you will be able to use combination with staffs, basically 2 light attack followed by heavy attack, and it will launch nice and powerful bolt at your target. And last 3 nodes. So they are over here, and what they will do? They will give you damage versus frozen targets plus 15% and more frozen duration. When you have low health, frozen will be applied to nearby enemies once every 2 minutes, and charged attacks are critical against frozen enemies. So, why do we need this frozen stuff when we get only fire damage at our disposal? That's because you probably could already have this frozen buffs if you went into this area from Frost Nova. And it actually almost doesn't matter, do you go from here or from here to your Evoker. Anyway, you want to have both of these parts. So, we increase in power of our range attacks first, and again, it will be instead of our Fate Strike, of course, if you want to go here first, or you can finish the build over here. Then you get in staff energy generates passively when we are not in a combat. That's a nice buff, so we are entering a combat with staff energy every time. And then we get in Frost Nova. So Frost Nova is great stuff, and it's used only with cooldown, no mana cost. It's area control ability, so it benefits from all our area buffs from our fireball, of course. And we also got nice nodes over here. First of all, we get plus 15% damage versus frozen, and Frost Nova is definitely one of the spells that you should add to your arsenal. So it should be on your hotbar, just no matter what. And when you acquire your Frost Nova, just spam it every time as set up for insane damage, because you will deal more damage versus frozen enemies after this Frostbite passive. If you started from this part, then get enemies who inflict damage in you at shield. This means they will take damage over time. They will take damage over time, of course. And also damage versus armor plus 20%, followed by light armor mastery. But just don't go over here. Don't go over here, or probably, yeah, just get this bonus and then switch instantly into Evoker category. And that's basically how final build will look like. So this build is basically finished, and you right now probably like closer to the end of the game, and that's around level like 30 plus, around level 35 probably you will have it easily. But if you found a lot of wolf statues, then you will have it even like sooner, like me. The next 10 points when you reach in level 40 will be over here, or even level 50, depending on how much you explore and find wolf statues for more skill points. But what we want to improve power of our firebolt. So we're getting this Fate Reflex first, and then going to the left with primer duration and getting this radius of area ability increased by 50%, which is great. At the same time, we get in the right part over here, advantage duration plus 20% with hitting 3 or more enemies with area ability grants enhanced damage. Also, I like to have clarity in suffering. Whenever you take damage, generate some mana. And here, all will depend on your level and your points left. So, you can have takedown damage plus 15%, one more skill for more skill damage. And also you can have mana generation plus 15% over here with more health over here. So that's nice notes. And also here, when we began, we got 20% bonus stagger damage against enemies with affliction. You can continue on top with maximum necrosis stacks that will be completely irrelevant for us, but one more ability for more ability damage, more primary duration over here, and here we get more radius for area abilities, and to the top right part, damage versus barrier, and more damage with area abilities for each enemy hit, which is great for our fireball. And that's completely final build. I hope you enjoyed this video and you will have blast playing this Fire Sorcerer Fire Mage in Dragon Age Veilguard. Watch other cool videos on the screen right now and see you there.